All right. Namaste, Green Wave. It's Miss Amy. And today I have a super special guest with me today. This is one of my very own yoga teachers. So not only do I get to teach you guys, but you always teach me because I always feel like my students are my greatest teachers. But today is super special because I get one of my favorite and greatest teachers on here, Miss Allie Creamer. And she's going to share with us some really cool fun facts about yoga and the sister science of yoga, Ayurveda. She wrote this really cool book that we've seen before with all the yoga food and facial recipes that we've had videos on before. So we'll get to talk to her today about how she wrote her book and things to keep us calm and cool during the summer since it's been really hot, and also during our quarantine as well. So thank you so much, Allie, for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I love doing this. And I love being able to reach different people than I might normally reach. So it's just really nice to be able to bring this to a younger generation that can actually start to incorporate some healthy habits at their age. I think that's just so important. And they're so lucky to have you and somebody who can bring them some access and some knowledge like that. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And absolutely, because health is wealth, especially now with everything going on in the world, with COVID-19. And, we've been really stuck at home since the middle of March, and all of our lives have shifted, right? From we've been used to going to see our friends at school to doing all of our sports and just doing our daily routines. That kind of all shifted once we, had the stay-at-home order. So what have you done to keep balance, right, when you've been stuck at home to keep your calm and your cool?
Well, I mean, one of the things that helps me more than anything else is exactly what you've been teaching them, which is doing some yoga, doing some healthy movement every day, trying to eat healthy, and to stay with like positive thinking and stay active and stay connected. I mean, I have to say, for me, I'm of a different generation, and being on a computer all day long took some getting used to for me. It's not as easy for me to be technologically savvy as perhaps some of your younger students who are more used to having grown up with computers and stuff like that. I didn't grow up with them. So that being said, I'm super grateful that we actually do have the resource of being able to connect in this way. And what I do think is wonderful is that I have also had more connection with people that are far away than I normally do, being able to see their faces and being able to share yoga class with them. And so I think, every situation, and this is something that yoga touches on, every situation can have aspects that seem like they're really positive things, and every situation can have aspects that seem like they're not so positive. And what we try to do is to focus on the aspects that feel positive, to focus on to focus on what we can learn from any situation. Right. So I do think that in this day and age, my life has changed a lot. And there are days where it feels really, really challenging. There are days where it feels really challenging. And I think that that's something that yoga helps me with it as well, in that the days where it feels challenging, I'm not trying to push it away and say, oh no, it's okay. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. I just say, okay, I'm having a day where it doesn't feel so easy today. And that's okay, because I know that will shift, and I can still stay with taking some small positive actions that create change. But I do think it's important for us all to acknowledge that this isn't an easy situation. And there might be days where it doesn't feel so good and we're not in such a great mood. And that's okay too. It's all okay, as we learn how to there's my dog.
Oh.
As we learn how to just navigate and work with what is present in our lives right now.
Absolutely.
For instance, my dog barking when I'm trying to talk to you.
He's your natural downward dog, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But Ayurveda really does so I know you've explained a bit about Ayurveda to your students, but Ayurveda has really been something that for me has, Marty, you need to stop that now. Marty!
He has a lot to say.
Well, yeah, Marty might have to go. So for your kids, this is something that you'll I'm sure has been happening to you as well. You know, you think you're in the middle of a session that you need all your focus and all your concentration, and in the meantime, maybe your little brother or your little sister or your older brother or your older sister is interrupting, or your parents have to go into the room and it doesn't feel like you have privacy, or maybe you have experience with having a dog that starts barking, or construction outside of your window, or, you know, whatever it is.
Right.
And
right.
so that's a part of it too.
Right?
Like, how do we just go with what's happening in the moment and not let it completely throw us off? That's the yoga too. Anyway, so I think he's stopped freaking out momentarily, but my apologies for that.
Okay. Did you find yourself, well, what kind of poses would you do each day? Or maybe sometimes did you not do yoga asana? Did you find yourself doing more meditation or other forms of yoga than just the movement each day, even if you were kind of having a blah day? Because again, we all felt that. You might have felt happy, sad, angry, frustrated all in one day, you know?
Totally.
I know that happened to me some days too. So what did you do, or what different tools and techniques did you find helpful?
Well, as you and I had discussed, there's different yoga routines that are outlined in my book, and
yes,
there's the book. Yay!
And
so
to see your name, here it is. Right out there.
That's so
you
sweet.
Can do anything
Thank
you put
you.
your mind to. Well,
yeah. I mean, we can totally get into the process of how that happened.
Absolutely. But the movements that you were mentioning were from this book we have.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I think is important also to mention, is trying to be as consistent as possible. Yeah. Even if it's just a few minutes every day, you know, it's really nice to think of, oh, we might have a half an hour or 45 minutes to do yoga, but even 5 minutes of just some moving and some consciousness around the breath, and feeling some gratitude for a strong, healthy body. You know, there's a lot of people in this world right now who are not doing so great health-wise. And so for those of us who are feeling strong and healthy, to show our gratitude by doing some movement, just a little bit every day, you know, because there is a lot of time spent in front of a computer screen, and we want to keep our bodies strong and healthy. That's so important. It's the number one most important thing. Nothing else can happen if we're not feeling strong and healthy. So I try to do a little something every day, even if it's just a long walk with my dog, or some yoga movement, some meditation. But the movement, I think, is, I'm a fan. I think it's so important. So I do try to move my body in some way every single day.
Yeah, that's so important, you know, because again, we're sitting more now that we're on our computers or on our desks, or we're like hunched over more. We're just so connected to technology that we forget to reconnect to ourselves. And just by getting in our body is really helpful to create that movement. You know, if we feel stagnant, if we feel stuck, to get that flow, that refreshed feeling.
Yeah, I mean, our bodies were not made to sit in chairs all day long. You know, right. We've got arms, we've got legs, we've got joints. You know, our joints are meant to move and bend and stretch. And I just think it's such a gift to have, like I said, like to have a strong, healthy body. Let's show our appreciation for it by keeping it that way.
Absolutely. And do you have a favorite type of meditation practice or something with pranayama for the breath work that, say you didn't really feel like moving your body today? What's another alternative that, you could try, even if it's just for a minute or two? If you didn't have 45 minutes to do a practice, what
Yeah.
simple?
Sometimes honestly for me, there's a technique. Maybe you can show it. Since I'm not in a place right now really where I can demonstrate, but maybe Amy can show it, or I'm happy to describe it.
Sure.
It's called constructive rest. And
Okay.
it just means that you're lying on your back with your feet on the ground and your knees bent.
I can
And you can show it?
Yeah.
Awesome. That'd
I'll
be
just
great.
hit it pause really quick.
Okay.
All right. So I have my mat set up, and I have my blocks and my eye pillow and my blanket handy as well. So
There's Marty. Okay. So for constructive rest, which is one of my favorites for when I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed or anxious or anything like that, I just lie on my back. So you can go ahead and lie on your back.
Okay.
And then bring the soles of your feet to the ground with your knees bent. And take your feet a little bit wider than your hips and let your knees connect with each other. Cool. And then take your hands onto the very lowest part of your belly and let your shoulders relax. And if closing your eyes feels comfortable for you, then you can close your eyes. And if not, you can keep them open.
Feels very comfortable.
Yeah.
Like you
And
can
then
take
just
a nap here, right?
Yeah, and then just take a couple of breaths and just let your body drop into the ground for a moment. So in Ayurveda, we talk about this season that we're in as being something that has a lot of like heat and steaminess to it.
Right.
And one of the ways to balance that out
Mm-hmm.
is through coolness and through a feeling of groundedness. And one of the quickest ways to feel grounded is to literally be on the ground. If you think about it, if we live in apartment buildings, we're not even on the ground floor. Sometimes we're 3 feet or 3 stories or 5 stories or 10 stories or 20 stories up in the air. So much of our lives, we're not connecting to the ground floor. So just having a moment to lie on the back and let yourself relax there and feel your breath moving in and out, and the consciousness around bringing awareness and attention to breath.
Absolutely. You can feel your feet on the ground as well, and you feel your belly rise and fall, just as I always show with our Hoberman sphere as you inhale.
Oh, I love that.
Yes. So
I love that.
This is the mini one, but so yeah, just as a visual of our breath, because if we feel stressed out or we're overheated, we're breathing like this, but just by taking that deep breath, we're able to feel more grounded and more connected. So
I love that. I love that. So that's one of my favorites for when I am feeling a bit overwhelmed or a little anxious, or just feel like everything has gotten too up in the air, doubts about the future or doubts about the present or whatever it is, and then you had mentioned like the routine for summer, the yoga routine for summer.
So right in the book, page 43, these are the recommended sequences or poses for Pitta season, because we're in Pitta with the summer, right?
Yeah.
Being heated, hot, the sun is really out there firing us all up, and that internal sun we feel. And also just from being, at home, where I feel I have more fire just because we can't, see our friends, or we can't really play soccer like we were able to before. Like things are a little different. So I feel like sometimes I know for myself, I have that excess heat, and, movement is a great way to cool.
Just to get some of the energy flowing. So let's quickly go through the Pitta routine.
Yeah.
Okay. Just absolutely. So they can see it. So you're going to start sitting cross-legged, exactly.
Okay.
And then right away, just let your palms turn upward on your thighs and just breathe for a moment there. And then go ahead and open your arms up real wide to the sides. And then give yourself a big hug and wrap one arm on top of the other. And let your spine round. Good. Dropping your head. And then a few more like that. Inhale, open up the arms real wide. And on the exhale, change the crossing of your arms and give yourself a hug. Let's take 3 more like that. Big breath in. Big breath out. Twice more. Inhale, opening up. And exhale, rounding. And just one more time. Inhale, open up. And exhale, let the spine round and drop your chin in towards your chest. Good. And then come forward onto your hands and your knees with your wrists underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. And then tuck your toes under and lift your hips up and press back into a downward facing dog. Good. Yeah, and my dog does that literally every day.
Yeah.
Gives himself that little morning stretch. And it's such a nice way to just open up the backs of the legs and to release the shoulders and the neck a little bit.
Yeah, this is.
And then start to walk your feet forward, keeping your knees as bent as you need to here. And once you get to the front of your mat, you can just hang on to your elbows and give a little bit of a sway from side to side. And then change the crossing of your arms and do that again. Great. And then release the arms, keep a bend in the knees, tuck the chin, and roll your way up to stand. At the top, reach your arms all the way up. Big breath in, high prayer above your head. And take your hands to your heart in Namaste Mudra, Anjali Mudra. Cool. And then Surya Namaskar, which means sun salutations. So this in itself is a beautiful way just to get your blood flowing, to get your breath going, and to bring together breath and movement. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna move that back.
There we
There
go.
we go. Okay.
Perfect. So hands start at the heart. And you're going to hook your thumbs, reach your arms forward and up and lean back. Beautiful. Exhale. Take a forward bend over your legs. Step your right foot back into a lunge. Exhale into downward facing dog. Roll your way out long to plank pose, like the top of a push-up, and exhale, lower all the way down to your belly. Roll your shoulders back and lift up through your head and your chest in cobra. And then press back, downward facing dog. Reach your right leg up. Step it in between your hands, come back into a lunge. Bring the left foot to meet the right with a long spine, looking forward. Exhale, fold back into your legs. Rise back up on the breath in. Big reach through the arms, lift up, look up. And then take hands to your heart in Namaste. Again, like that, hook the thumbs and reach forward up and lean back. Exhale, folding forward, come down over your legs. Send your left leg back into a lunge. Downward facing dog with your breath out. Sliding out into plank pose. Exhale, lower all the way down. Rising back up, lifting the head and chest, cobra. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Stretch the left leg up. Step it between your hands. Bring the right foot to meet it. Long spine, big breath in. Exhale, folding into the legs. Rise back up on your breath in. Take your hands to your heart with the breath out. Beautiful. She's so good, right?
I love some
So you could take about 3 rounds of that. And so 1 round is the right side and then the left side. And you might do that twice more. And then the last part of this little yoga sequence would be what we call Supta Baddha Konasana.
Okay.
And that you can use your props for. So you would take your blanket and make your blanket into a little fold so that you can make it like a pillow for your head. So you can fold it in half, exactly, and put that at the back of your mat.
Okay. So that's for the head?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you'll take your eye pillow, put that close by, grab your blocks. You can lie down on your back with your head and your neck supported by your blanket pillow.
Okay.
And then the soles of your feet will come together. Let your knees hang open and your blocks can go underneath your thighs.
Butterfly on our back.
Exactly. And then you'll just grab your eye pillow if you like that, and you can put that over your eyes and let your arms rest by your sides. Doesn't she look comfortable?
It feels super comfortable. Another one of my favorite poses.
And then you could just stay there for, a minute, for 2 minutes, for 5 minutes. And if you fall asleep there, that's okay too.
It feels similar to the first one we did, the constructive rest, because you're on the ground. You really feel the earth beneath you.
Nice, very grounding.
Yeah.
Nice and relaxing. And then you can stay as long as you want there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it is time to come out of it, taking the eye pillow off first. You might stretch your legs out. Take your arms overhead. Give yourself a big reach there. And then walk the soles of the feet in. Place them on the ground. Roll over to your right side. And use your arms to press yourself up to sit. And then coming back into your cross-legged position with perhaps a different leg in front, just to try that.
Okay.
And taking your hands back to your heart. And so many times when we do yoga, we chant the sound Om. So you might have heard, you've chanted Om before. And for this particular sequence, the sound is a little bit different. Instead of chanting Om, we chant Yam, because Yam is like the sound that helps us connect to the heart, the sound that helps us to release heat, to get more into feeling connected and cool and calm and compassionate, all of those beautiful qualities that yoga can bring out in us. So we would close this particular sequence with the sound of Yam, and it sounds like this. You take a breath in. Yam.
Namaste.
Nice.
Yeah,
so that would be a summer sequence, a little summer yoga sequence that could take anywhere from about 5 minutes to about 15 minutes, something like that, but something that you might do in the morning before it gets too hot, or if you've got time during the day and you can sneak away and find a cool corner somewhere, that might be a great thing to do then. But Ayurveda, one of the things about Ayurveda is that it says that our practice can really adjust to what's going on in our life. So a practice that is very cooling and calming might not work if the weather was super cold and you feel like you need to get your energy up. Then your yoga practice or what you eat or what you wear might look very different. And that's primarily really what Ayurveda invites us to do, which is to adjust the way that we eat, the way that we dress, the way that we move, depending on what's going on in our life.
And what foods would you recommend to help balance our body? Because when we put, we want to make sure we're mindful of what we put in our body, since
Sure.
our body is
Sure.
the greatest tool.
Well,
so what would be good in the summer to accompany the movements with?
well, the good news is that Ayurveda would recommend ice cream during the summer.
Ooh, one of my favorites.
So that's the good news,
Well, that's
because
good. A little
yeah,
sweet.
everybody loves that. And ice cream is very cooling, and grounding, because there's dairy in it if you're having like dairy ice cream. So I believe that the kids will appreciate knowing that ice cream's okay. You don't want to do too much of it, but having an ice cream in the summer is such a lovely way to cool down. Other things that might be helpful at this time of year is to eat some green vegetables. If you've got some salad, you could eat salad. Coconut water is super good for cooling down. So if you can get a coconut water, that might be really, really nice. What else? If you're somebody who likes to drink milk would be good in the summer. It's cooling. As well as something like some almonds. If you like nuts and you want to eat a handful of almonds, that might be a good snack for now, because there's a natural sweetness to that. And this is a time of year where actually sweetness is considered helpful. So any fruits that are very sweet, like blueberries or watermelon, or what else do I like during this time? Coconut, I like avocado, I like cucumbers and celery, things that have already like a high water content, because it's very easy to get dehydrated if we are able to leave our houses and we're out and walking around in hot sun. It's good to replace some of the water that we lose through sweat with some food that has like a high water content to it.
Okay.
So those are some of my favorites: fruits and veggies, ice cream, maybe some nuts.
Yeah, all my favorites too. Now, from your book, you also, so not only in Miss Allie's book did it have the yoga poses that we just did for Pitta, but there's also a ton of recipes. And throughout the year, through STEAM, we've done yoga food. I call it yoga food. And we've done a variety of the khichdis, even though they might not be exactly what the recipe calls for, but we use what we have. We also have done a variety of the veggie stir fry and the Pitta relief snack, the sweet potatoes. And
I love that. That's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah. So we've used the book and just modified with, using what we have at the store. So would all of those also be okay during Pitta season?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's something really that Ayurveda also encourages, is use what you have. That you don't need to, if you don't have brown rice, use white rice. If you don't have white rice but you've got oatmeal around, you could substitute with oatmeal. You want to think in terms of food groups. So any grain food could substitute for any grain food. Any bean food could substitute for a bean food. So if you don't have lentils but you have black beans, you could use black beans. If you don't have black beans but you've got red beans, then maybe you use the red beans instead. And I also, I always encourage my when I do teach kids, interestingly, I haven't taught kids in America that much, but I've taught kids internationally when I teach internationally quite a bit. And what I do find is that kids are great cooks. They love it. They love getting in the kitchen and the creativity that's involved there. And I do think it sets up really good habits. And that's why the work that you do is so important. Like, setting kids up with habits that they can keep for the rest of their lives. Because let's face it, when you're a kid, you know, you might get a cut on your knee, but it heals really quickly, or you get a bug bite and it heals really quickly. When you're young, your body wants to like regenerate itself and heal itself very quickly. And we want to keep those healing powers, those balancing powers of the body super strong. And if we don't start to establish good habits when we're young, it's harder when you get older, kids. I'm telling you, like in the same way that you know, if you've ever learned a language, a different language other than your own, science has told us a million times it's much easier to learn a new language when you're younger.
Right.
And when you get older, it can get harder. So why not set yourself up for a good, healthy life now, and incorporate some of the yoga food and some of the yoga movement and maybe some of the meditation and the breath work and all of these things that can help us stay healthy and stay strong. And that's really what I find to be so empowering, is when I feel like I know how to take care of myself, and then it's on me.
Right. Practicing self-care, you know, taking good care of yourself so that you're able to take care of others, that you can do your schoolwork, you can, you know, do all of the sports and things like that. But it starts, you know, with taking time with yourself, whether it be eating healthy, the movements, you know, things like that, because, you know, your body is really important, just not physically, but also the mental aspect of it.
And it's so interconnected, I think, you know.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why yoga and Ayurveda always stresses, like, fill your mind with some healthy stuff too, you know. I know it can be easy to want to watch a lot of TV or a lot of movies, and sometimes the movies are violent, you know, and sometimes we see things or we hear things that we wonder why. You know, if you've ever, like, the example that I like to use is, you go to a movie or you watch a TV show or you watch a movie or something like that, and there's a big argument in it, or there's some sort of violence in it, and then you think, okay, I've forgotten about that, it's no big deal, it was just a movie, I know it's fake, you know, all of that.
Right.
But then you go to bed at night and you have a nightmare, and you're not sure where it came from.
Right.
So, you know, that's another Ayurvedic principle. Ayurveda always talks about how not only do we digest our food, we also digest the conversations that we have. We also digest the TV shows that we watch. We also digest the images that we look at. So sometimes if we've been reading or watching things that are not positive and uplifting and happy things, then it can affect us on a mental level. So that's why also important to train our minds to stay on positive things, like our schoolwork, like the hobbies that we enjoy, like the conversations with people that we care about, and things like that, I think are, like you said, super important to think about the mind and body connection, because they are so interconnected.
Absolutely. And just one more thing, would you share how you wrote your book? Like, was
Oh
this
my
a
goodness.
dream of yours, or what did it take? Because you do so many different things. So knowing that, like, you're never too young to start something or to reach your dreams, or even if something's challenging, because I know you wanted to write a book for a long time, and then, you know, it took time. So would you share a little bit about your journey becoming an author now? And
Yeah. You know, it's funny, and kids, I'm going to talk really honestly with you here. Sometimes it might feel, I know it felt for me when I was in school, there were times where I was like, oh, I don't want to do that, I don't want to do my homework, or I don't want to write about that, or I'm just not in the mood to read that, I want to read something else or whatever. But here's the interesting thing. I was talking before about how certain things are easier to learn as we're younger and they get harder when we get older.
Right.
What I do feel like school helped me with was understanding an assignment.
Mm.
And that seems like a little thing. It's actually a really big thing to get in the habit of keeping our word.
Mm.
Because that's really what an assignment is. An assignment is somebody says to you, I need you to do this, this, and this by this day
Right.
in this way. And we learn how to follow instructions and follow through.
Mm.
So I had always said to myself, yeah, I love to write. I always loved writing. And I wrote articles for various online things and magazines and different ways that my writing was out there in the world. And then the book company came to me and said, hey, we publish books about health and wellness. We'd love for somebody to write this book about Ayurveda that makes it accessible for the modern world. Are you interested? And I said, yeah, of course, I'm totally interested. I kind of in the back of my head always thought that I would write a book like that.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, you've got 3 months to do it.
Wow.
Yeah. So
3 months.
3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, to get us in the first 2 drafts. So initially I freaked out.
Yeah.
Initially I was like, there's no way, there's no way. And then I was like, you know what? If I set my mind to it and I really follow through on this and I make sure that I set aside time every single day to work on it, maybe this can happen. And so my previous background of school saying like, here's your assignment, you got to do it, get it done.
Yeah.
That was really helpful. That was really super helpful. And the other thing that I would say as far as writing is concerned, and this is old writing advice that was given to me by my teachers.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to write something, write about what you know.
Mm.
And that's not to say that imagination isn't a beautiful skill to cultivate. And I think when you're initially starting to write something,
Mm-hmm.
write about what you know. So the invitation that I would give to your students
Yeah.
would be to write 2 pages about their most favorite hobby and how they became good at it. So whether that hobby is that they like to play baseball,
Mm-hmm.
whether that hobby is that they're really liking their yoga, whether that hobby is that they love to draw.
Right.
See if you can sit and just write 2 pages about why you love the thing that you love, how you became more skillful at it,
Mm.
how you learned how to do it a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better, and who in their lives helped them with that along the way.
Mm.
So maybe 2 pages, because you will find that the writing, that's what I found in writing this book, because I loved what I was writing about. And it was something that I had been studying for a really long time and something that I felt like I knew something about. I had some information to offer.
Yeah.
The hardest part was actually like the editing part of it, like going
Okay.
like, oh, I have to make sure that the sentences all make sense, and I have to make sure that the words that I use are the right words for everything. But just getting the information out actually came pretty easily because I loved what I was writing about so much.
Wow. That's wonderful. Just to put it out there, because sometimes I find like yourself can be your biggest challenge, right? Like when you thought those 3 months and didn't, like sometimes it's like, it's ourself that blocks us. But when we give ourselves that permission to, be able to write, to make it our own, that
Yeah.
difference that like once you have that awareness, like, okay, I'm going to step aside to let myself, complete this 2 pages. It starts with 2 pages, like one step at a time when
2
we can,
pages.
and
Just
then
2
we start
pages.
to reach our full potential with, through all of these practices, through Ayurveda, through the yoga, it all kind of comes together in a sense to whatever dream you have, whether to be to write a book or to be a professional baseball player or, whatever it is, to, believe in yourself and set time for yourself to do it, I think is big to make our dreams, what's in our mind, a reality in the physical,
Yeah, and there's actually that makes me think of two things that I want to offer. One of them is that somebody once told me, like, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that you won't have a job.
Right.
But really, like you said, like following our dreams and the thing that we love to do. And then if we follow through on that and make that our career, then it never feels like, oh, I don't want to go to work. I mean, that's not true.
Right.
There are still
we all have our moments, right?
There are still days, and that also doesn't mean that it's always going to be easy either.
Right.
It still means that, in our chosen field, we need to study and we need to work hard and we need to, quote unquote, pay our dues, meaning do things that don't seem like they're holding up the highest part of whatever it is that we do, right? Like it still might be days where it doesn't feel as exciting or it doesn't feel as interesting or whatever it is. And if we're really kind of following what our dream is, then the work that is difficult actually feels exciting as opposed to off-putting. So that's the first thing that I want to say. And then the last thing that I want to also say is we can catch ourselves. And by that, I mean, I love that you said, we can edit ourselves or think that what we're doing is not good enough because, this is the first book that I've ever published. Yeah. And my publisher called me and said, okay, it's finished. Mm-hmm. It's in print. We're going to send you the first copy of it.
Wow. Oh.
So that's exciting, right? So
yeah.
That's exciting. So I get this brown paper box in the mail and I open up the box and I pull out this first copy and I'm like, wow, I'm seeing it for the first time and this is so exciting and I can't wait to take pictures of it and send it to my mom and dad or put it on social media or whatever it is. And then I opened the book and I started, I looked through it for I would say 1 minute. Mm-hmm. And then I started to look at all the things that I thought were wrong with it.
Oh, wow.
And I started to say, oh, I wish I had said it that way.
Okay.
And, oh, they picked this picture for this page and I don't like that picture. I wish they had picked a different picture. And my mind instantly went into all of those things that were self-critical,
Right, right.
And then I caught myself and I was like, you can't do that. You can't do that. In the moment, you did the best you could.
Right.
And it's good enough. Absolutely. It's good enough. Yeah. So just to say out loud, even as yoga teachers or Ayurveda teachers or grown-ups, there's still those times where thoughts come in that we have to acknowledge and then say, you know what, I'm not going to think that today. And that's one of the biggest things that I think yoga can give us is the ability to change our minds.
Absolutely. That is huge because our brain has that neuroplasticity. It can change,
It absolutely can.
No matter how old we are, we can catch ourselves, catch our thoughts, and to really be the best we can as we keep showing up, each day for ourselves and for each other, no matter if we're stuck at home or, we're all back together because, we all try, then we're helping, each other out. So
Totally.
Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today and everything that you were able to support us with. And I'm so honored to have you as my teacher to teach my students. And we also share the same birthday, which is super cool too.
I love that.
Birthday
That's
twins.
one of my favorites.
Fun fact.
The best. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
sharing this
much.
time with me.
And I sincerely appreciate it. So, Green Wave, have a wonderful day. As we say in yoga, we say namaste. So,
Namaste.
namaste.
And thanks again, Amy.
Thank you so much, Miss Allie.